almost 6 o'clock, so this is a meeting. For the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business, and this is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting, as indicated on the agenda. Call to order. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do roll call. Mr. Klaus? Here. Mr. Huber? Here. Mr. Hilsman? Here. Mrs. Summer?
Here.
I'm here. Can I get a motion to set the agenda?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Carl? John? Mr. Klaus?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Aye.
Mr. Hilsman?
Aye.
Mrs. Summer?
Aye.
And aye. Okay, have a few reports. First up is Andy Mikesell and Pete Lisi.
We have a show. No. Mr. Williams, do I have to use a mic or can I just talk?
You're fine.
Okay, good deal. Hello, my name is Andy Mikes. I'm the principal of Celina Middle School. So I'm just giving you guys kind of the board and the community kind of an update of what's been going on at the middle school this year. We're going to get into a few different things here, and I brought Mr. Lisi, he's my dean of students here, to talk about a new program that we implemented this year that we've seen a lot of success with so far. But right off the bat here, just a little bit of our stats. So our enrollment, the last several years we've been floating in between about 175, 200. These are the numbers we're at right now. So about 350 in the building total. GPAs there, this is cumulative as of this point. We do wrap up the 9 weeks on Friday. So we're hoping to see improvements there, but they're looking pretty good there, 335, 327. And then our honor roll. Okay, I know we try to highlight our kids as much as we can in their accomplishments, and I'm pretty proud of this. We have about half our kids each quarter who are earning honor roll, so that's pretty impressive for those guys. So I want to make sure I showcase them. I'm going to turn it over here for just a little bit to Mr. Lisi, and he is going to talk about our ICU program that we implemented this year at the middle school.
Thanks. So last year, about this time, we started having discussions about some accountability issues, especially when it came to homework. So what we decided to do was to investigate some possible programs out there. One thing that we came up with was a book that was written by a former administrator from down by Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, named Danny Hill. And so we started by doing kind of a little bit of a book study. It was called ICU. And what it basically looked at was how do you hold the kids accountable for the idea of homework, okay? So it started as getting that book into a handful of people's hands. They read it, kind of were intrigued by the idea. Then by word of mouth, it worked its way pretty much about this time until about the end of the school year about ICU as a possibility. When that happened, we kind of met on the last day and I said, listen, if we want to roll this out, we got to do some work in the summer. And that's when we started the poolside PDs. This was out at Laura Darris's house. She welcomed us out there. We had anywhere from 15 to 20 of the staff members show up, once in June, once in July, and once in August. Each time was about 2 hours. And really, with each one, it was time to kind of set what we were going to do. First, we introduced what ICU was, as it was introduced in the book. And then we wanted to see how we could make that work in our building. Because there's some things that were going to be different than what we wanted to do. So what we did on that first time in June, we started out with what our core values were going to be. And our core values were, one, hold the kids accountable, teach them a little bit of accountability, and then two, really encourage that the ICU is not a punishment. Okay? Then, from there, kind of combined all our notes, got it back out there. We came back in July, and we started looking at how could we make this work in our building. So then we started looking at what it would look like in a teacher's classroom. What would it look like in the school? And then when we got to August, we had to actually get away from the pool, which really depressed a lot of people. We had to get back in the classroom because the school wouldn't let me take a smart board out to a pool. I don't know why. But we ended up going and talking about really what the mechanisms of the communication, the accountability piece was going to be. So the book that we used was Power of ICU. We did come up with a good acronym because I get it. When you hear that your kid's on ICU, it kind of freaks some people out. So we put the acronym Intervention Chances for Understanding. The purpose of the implementation was homework accountability, because when it came down to it, our job as teachers was really to know what the kids know. That drives what our decisions were going to be. That's the data that we needed to be able to drive what we were going to do. It was very much teacher driven. Like I said, that first meeting in one of the classrooms at the last day of school, we had about 22, 23 teachers that just were intrigued by it. As we moved forward throughout the summer, a lot of teachers showed up and put their 2 cents in. Staff involvement. So to give you guys an idea of who we have that's involved, I actually have Mr. Dwanger, who's one of our ICU teachers, who runs the ICU room, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. And we have some other, Ms. Cisco's here as well. We have Laura Darris, who is a big component of it. And not only that, it's all the other teachers that understand what the process is and how we all work together to make the ICU program run. So just to kind of run you down what it looks like. So student misses an assignment. Okay. What happens is there's a database that we have purchased. That database, the teacher puts the student on the ICU list. That's when the communication chain begins. So let's say student A, we'll call him Timmy. Timmy here doesn't get his work done. Mr. Dwanger, as a teacher, can go in and say he doesn't have his work done. He puts in the ICU database. When he hits enter, an email is sent to the parent. No, excuse me. A text message is sent to the parent. An email is sent to the kid and basically stating that your child has been put on ICU. You need to get your work done. Okay? At that point, we have, in the morning, I run these passes, and you can actually, this is an example of the pass that we've generated. We drop it into a Google Sheet, and then we can generate these passes. It has the student's name, what their assignment is, who's the teacher that it came from, and then even over here, I can tell you where they're at, third or fourth period, so we know where to deliver them. But we create these passes in the morning. Right now, for my 8th graders, I have Mrs. Johns who delivers that 4th period, or no, scratch that 3rd period, and Miss Hiley delivers the 7th period. They are both our intervention teachers. At lunch, we have the lunch ICU. If you receive one of these passes, right now in the art room, you come down, we have a list, we get kids working, and we rotate teachers in on a daily basis. We have pretty much a math teacher in there every single day except on Thursdays. We have ELA teachers in there throughout, science teachers. Teachers rotate in on a daily basis. Right now, Mr. Dwyer and Mrs. Darris, they are in there Tuesday through Friday because they TBT on Mondays. But they kind of run that list every single day. So then when a kid gets an assignment done, we kind of we initial it. We have yellow folders that all the assignments go back. Those get delivered to the teachers. So the teachers get the work back. They're informed that it's been done. We take them off the list. And this is what I love about this program, is as soon as that is taken off the list, message is sent to the kid, good job, you got your stuff done, and one is sent to the parents as well, saying that your child's gotten off the ICU list. We have a targeted intervention that are small groups, 5 to 6 students. So once again, Mr. Dwanger and Ms. Darris rotate every other day with this. We'll go after our heavy hitters. Say we have a kid that has 6 missing assignments. Might be because they're absent. Okay? Might be because they're struggling. Really doesn't matter. What we do is we go after them and we really have individualized work with them. And then we wake up the next morning, it's like washing your hair, rinse and repeat. Now, to give you guys some of the ideas, the packets that I gave you, that was a survey that I sent out to the parents and the students. Okay? And what I have is I have kind of a summarized information of what the feedback is from the parents. Overall, from parents, it's been pretty good. They appreciate the communication. Are there things that we got to tweak? Absolutely. If you read the book, they'll tell you your first year is the toughest. Well, I can tell you, if our first year is 98.5% completion rate, I can't wait to see what next year's going to bring. As a matter of fact, right now it's running at 99%. So on any given day, we are running at we have about 10,000 assignments that have gone through there. We'll have anywhere from 100 to 140 kids on a given day. We knock that number down on a daily basis. This is what I really like about this program. It's not just about the grades. Discipline is down. I can tell you, if I take my 8th graders this year to what they did last year at this time as 7th graders, last year at this time they had 618 red slips. Right now they have 464 red slips. So what we're finding is the kids are more on task. The teachers are able to look at this list at any time and say, hey, you got work to do. No, you got to get work done. It's on the ICU list. So the discipline has been down. We're also finding with attendance, our attendance has been up. A lot of kids get anxiety because they get too far behind. Well, with ICU, we have something built in the day where we can get those kids caught up. Once again, the homework completion runs anywhere from 97 to 99% at any given day. There's other little factors that kind of build into it. We have something known as blitz days and blitz weeks. Blitz days, we had one on Friday, for instance. They have teachers there that are there to help them get caught up. So right now, I think the kids that we have furthest behind might be, I think, 7 assignments. We've had kids as high as 20. As a matter of fact, we're going to show some videos of kids here in just a second. The young lady that you'll see, she had as high as 24. She had 24 assignments she was behind at one point. The young man in here, he comes to ICU by himself. That's a great thing is kids they don't have to be on the list to get there. They're like, can we go down? I said, yeah, just as long as we're not full, we'll let you guys come down. So some kids come down anyways because they know that it's there to support them. And once again, the big key is it's not really a punishment that we're going for. We're going for the idea that we, as teachers, have to know what they know so we can impress on how we move. We have to know their movements before we know our movements sometimes. So that is the thing that I really like about ICU. I think these are our videos.
We tried to get kids to come, but if you have had a 12 to 15-year-old, you know it's difficult.
Yeah, it was. So this is Reed.
Okay, Reed Hicks here. Reed is an 8th grader here at Celina Middle School, and I asked Reed how ICU has helped her.
It's a quiet place to get your work done and stuff, and I feel like it's helped me a lot, because at the very beginning of the year, I had a bunch of missing assignments, probably 30, 40, and then now I think I'm down to 2 from when I was absent from work.
All right, thank you.
Now, I don't think she ever made the 30, 40. She is one of our heavy hitters. We can also look at the data through the website. We can say, okay, how many times has Reed been on there?
Okay, Reed Hicks here. Reed is an 8th grader here.
This young man's name is Alex Reedy. He is an 8th grader as well.
Okay, I have Alex Reedy in here. Alex is an 8th grader here at the middle school, and I asked Alex what he thinks of ICU and if it's helping him or not.
Honestly, I feel as ICU has helped me progress in my homework scores and test scores because of the help of teachers. Although I do not like it, it does help me.
I do not like it.
Okay, Alex Reedy.
And if we start looking at some of the comparisons, we see a tick up on not only our grades with our coursework, we see an uptick on our attendance, and we do see a drop in just overall behavior issues. I say that, but you know what we got to do, because you have days. But overall, the discipline has been relatively low. But that means we can use our time and our efforts and our focus on the things that really make an impact on the kids, where it is their academics. I don't have my teachers having to fight kids anymore. So that is the ICU program that we've been using. So can we open up questions or just?
I'll keep going here. So this is kind of a snippet of some of the data we look at on a regular basis. So the ABC data. We look at attendance, we look at behaviors, and then we look at coursework. So from an attendance standpoint, we're always trying to do better. What can we do to get the kids in school? Because if we don't get them in school, we lose a lot of them. So we're seeing good growth from that standpoint. Behavior, same thing. Those are incidents that can range from in-school days to detentions. But the underline in bold there is a big one that we knew we needed to fix, and those are out-of-school suspension incidents. We're down from obviously 36 to 9. We want the kids in school. That is our goal. So whatever we can do to help with that. And a big thing with ICU is people look at it and they think that it's just a get your work done program. But if you come into a middle school and be around these kiddos, there's a lot of emotion, a lot of social anxiety, all these different factors. If you've had it, again, 12 to 15-year-old, you already know this. They do get anxious, and that does cause them to get sick or just get into a flat refusal or be in a bad mood. And a lot of that anxiety can be caused from getting themselves in a hole, whether it's attendance from being sick, whether it could be a number of different things. They get anxious, they get in a bad mood, they don't want to come to school, and then we're stuck. It's kind of been a cycle. This has really helped us, and that's one of the things, not letting those kids get in a hole, them wanting to come to school and not fighting us. So we're seeing a lot of really positive pieces of that.
And it is amazing, when you see them get out of that hole, they're like, oh wait. One, they don't want to go back in the hole, but two, they realize they did something pretty tough. Okay.
See a lot of success with that. I'm going to blow through a few other things here. So Mr. Lacey just talked about our rewards days. We just had one. We just sent a group to Lima for Sky Zone. We sent a group bowling. We sent a group to the roller rink, and then we had kind of a mini field day at the middle school as well. So we try to build these in. Again, give them something to look forward to, a challenge to meet. And again, clearing the list is typically a big one. We've also done red slip challenges and things like that, kind of depending on the need. Same thing, lunch challenges. We do what we call Mix It Up Fridays. We try to do it at least once a month, where the kids come in, they get a playing card, and that's their seat for the day. So rather than having them sit there awkwardly in silence, we'll do things like trivia. They get really into that, whether it's music trivia, we've done holiday trivia, different things, just to get them kind of communicating with classmates they normally wouldn't. They're not big fans of it, but they go along with it, and we do. It's pretty cool to see them step up and take a classmate under their wing that they might not have normally. Fun nights. We keep doing fun nights. We actually just wrapped up our last one of this year. Those have been very successful. A fun night is kind of like a school dance to an extent. It's a big fundraiser for our Relay for Life, which we'll talk about here in just a second. It's almost been a staple. I still have some former grads telling me, "Oh, I remember fun night. I remember that." So kids still really enjoy it. We get good turnouts. Sports, we do a bunch of different sports there. Pretty much all your standard stuff: cross country, volleyball, football, cheer, basketball, wrestling, track, baseball, softball. We do have bowling and soccer. However, those are club sports that are not affiliated with our athletic program. Veterans Day Assembly, we had that again this year. Again, that's kind of been a nice annual staple of ours that has been going on at the middle school for quite some time, and again, a very good turnout. So we appreciate everybody who puts all that together. Robotics Club. So I did want to talk about this. This is fairly new. These pictures are actually just from last week. So John Gudorf is a 7th grade math teacher. He and actually Mr. Lacey, who helps over his kids over at Coldwater, we're trying to get a robotics club going here in Celina. And kind of the first step is to get the interest of the kids. We have that. And then we got associated with the Department of Disabilities has a challenge set up for our kids. So our kids are actually participating in this challenge. The two young men in the middle there are some of our high school boys. And the challenge is this year's challenge is to develop an apparatus to help these two young men in particular with some of their fine motor skills. And it's really cool that they designed this thing. They built a prototype and then they got to go over, and they know Zach and Dayton.
So if you look at Dayton, Dayton's the young man in the yellow shirt. On his right arm, you can see it's connected, and what they were trying to do is two things. One, have a scoop that helps them pick up the cases of soda that's behind them, and then also potentially be able to zip up a coat. These are things that they both struggle with their right hand, so that's the challenge. They just went over today to test it out, and they already see some things that they gotta come back and redo. So the ultimate goal of this is Coldwater, Van Wert, Wapak has a group part of this. It's something called FTC, which is the first tech challenge. The robots are this big. The challenge is being able to program, but also on top of that, there's marketing, there's fundraising, there's a whole component to this that's just not, hey, we're gonna go make a robot. It's meeting the challenge and then also displaying some of these skills, presentation skills. So the best way of explaining it is think of FFA, but with robots. FFA is not just about farming, it's about other components. That's what this robotics club we're trying to shoot for, and what we'd love is to build it up.
Yeah, this is just the very beginning. It's the first year that they started doing this. Again, Mr. Gudorf kind of grabbed this and ran with it. And this is going to be great. We're looking to revamp our STEM program as a district, so this is kind of a good building block on that. Bulldog Buzz here. You want to play it? Sure, you can play it. Okay, so our kids, it's kind of it's a Bulldog Beat, right? It's kind of a junior high version of the Bulldog Beat. Our kids go out and we have there you go. A website that is completely run by them, and they do different things like this.
This is Grayson from the Bulldog Buzz. Is there
Mr. Grant.
Oh yeah. Okay, first question, Mr. Grant. Do you know the word grandmother?
No. Now I think we is a big into it.
Okay. Have you ever heard
Yes.
Okay, do you know what skitty means?
Skitty, I didn't mean to know it. Alpha is that book in the back. Yeah.
Okay, do you know what signal is?
Yes, I think that means I kind of
Same thing when you say
yeah. Skitty means you're going to. Signal means you're kind of going to, not that much.
okay, thank you for those words.
The audio would have been better if she wasn't using a spoon.
So these are kind of some of the goofy things that the kids do. There's a bunch of videos on there, and the cool thing is it's a website that is maintained by them, and it's for them. It's not something that mom or dad can go on. It is exclusively for Celina middle schoolers. And there's all kinds of cool things in there. That's another one that a couple of our teachers, Mrs. Etzler and Mr. Gudorf, oversee that club as well. 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip is coming up. We are finalizing the plans. We're getting final payments in, all those different things. I know I was talking with Mr. Klaus a little bit before the meeting about the trip. And one thing I did want to bring up in terms of the trip, because it's kind of a sad situation. We all know cost of everything is going up. That includes the trip. And unfortunately, it's starting to hit more and more kids who cannot afford to go. So I have been talking with our travel agency quite a bit. Hey, what are you guys seeing? What are different fundraisers? We do a lot of fundraisers starting in 7th grade for this trip, or are there partnerships or different things like that? So he's been giving me some ideas, and we do get donations. But again, when we're talking 140, 150 kids at over $1,000 a piece, that's a lot. And it's unfortunate because it is still a great trip. Again, adults still bring up their 8th grade trips and how their kids may not want to go, but they're making them go because they know they'll have fun and those things. But kind of a goal of mine starting this summer is I want to start reaching out, and I guess it's more of a community thing, start reaching out to see if we can create some partnerships to help these kids go a little bit more. Because the cost is only going to keep going up, and we have a lot of families who struggle. I had a lot of parents had to pull out because they just couldn't make the payments, and that's, again, unfortunate. It's just a situation we're in, but if there's anything we can do to help them, or if anybody has any ideas, I feel free to reach out. We want to continue to make this a special event for the kids. Our mini relay, again, is starting right around the corner. I was actually talking to Ms. Cisco about this the other day. So up to date, we have raised over $330,000 towards the battle against cancer. All those proceeds go to the American Cancer Society. This is such a cool thing because I have people just think it's raising money, and then you go and you have a field day and have fun. The kids run this for the most part. They come up with the ideas for the fundraisers. They, I have to organize them in school. If they do bake sales, most of them are making, cookies and different things like that. So that they really take ownership. And the cool thing, it's not a good thing to have, but the cool thing is we are on occasion able to see the benefits directly here in Celina. So for example, the middle picture there is the August family. We had Iris August just last year go into remission with her battle against cancer. So that's somebody personally connected to them that they can see that all their hard work, how that goes to benefit them. And it's not just, donating money to a society. So that's a really cool thing that we've got to experience. And hopefully we can just keep it going. It seems like we're breaking records, right, Ms. Cisco? Every year we keep breaking a yearly record. So hopefully we can keep that going and make this another special event. That's all I have for everyone. Did you guys have any questions? Read that list for that one. Okay, thank you.
Great job.
Andy and Pete, thank you guys very much. You guys got a lot of great stuff going on there at the middle school, and thanks for sharing that. So, next up is Tressie or Sherry, and I don't see either one of them. And Joni, I don't see her either. So, next, Phil, with some facility updates.
All right, keep kind of brief. Things are, not a lot of changes going on anymore with the elementary because they're just moving dirt, they're leveling things out, waiting for summer to where they can come in and get all of our parking lots, all of our driveways put in. So we'll get all that finished up. The one thing that we do have coming up is we have some playground equipment. We took down basketball poles, some real heavy duty basketball poles off our CIS playground. We took 4 poles down, took them out to TriStar, they cut one up, extended them so we could bury them back into concrete and take them back to the elementary and put them up. So took them from there, took them out to J&M Manufacturing over in Fort Recovery, and they powder coated everything, they look brand new. Our maintenance guys are coming in, they're finishing up, putting the hoops back on them and getting them prepared. When our playground contractor comes in, there's an additional piece of climbing equipment that's going in here about the 1st of April and should finish off the playground. Over at the elementary building, they're going to add these basketball poles and then put in some volleyball poles. Won't be useful until we get the asphalt put in. They'll get them in place, and when they come in, do all the asphalt work for the parking lots, they'll finish that up, and come fall, we'll have a full, complete playground, partial fence around 2 sides. To kind of contain some of the younger kids in there. But got some nice equipment going in, and I think that's going to kind of complete what the kids need over there for play structures. Like I said, we've done some final assessment on the parking lot. We got our driveways in. Made a little catch here just recently. We were putting in some bus parking. That's not going to be necessary. We're hopefully, we're going to be just a short period of time that we're going to have buses being serviced out of the existing bus garage, so there was no reason to put in large bus parking on that site. So we're gonna finish it off with car parking, where that's gonna become useful because the buses are gonna transition over across the street to the new bus garage. So hopefully that time frame, by the time all this gets done, it won't be that much longer until we move our buses off-site. But everything it's still workable, so if the mechanics can get them in, they can do the service where it needs to be done. But it's future forward thinking for parking there at the elementary. Again, that'll all be in. We talked through our signage, got our directionals, as far as our flow of traffic, our heavy trucks, our garbage trucks, we got deliveries, everything coming in. We got heavy asphalt going in where that's gonna take place. And then we save some costs in other areas, reducing some of the parking then that we're gonna have there at the elementary. So they're hauling out some dirt, kind of getting things down to grade. Can't touch the parts we're currently using, so anything outside the construction fence, again, that won't be touched until school's out and they can come through and they can move a lot of dirt. They can make a lot of changes happen here in a short period of time. That's on the elementary. On the high school, 712 building over here, that's progressing nicely as well. It's kind of like the itsy bitsy spider. When the rain and the snow come out, it drives them all away. The sun comes out, dries it all up, and they're right back to work again. It's amazing. You leave for a week and you come back and you've got walls where it used to be an outline, a concrete block or foundations out there. Todd Top runs an Engineering 2 class here at the high school. We've taken 2 trips out there with those guys. We went out just recently, took a set of floor plans. The first time it was pretty bare. It was kind of hard to figure out exactly what was going on. But now they've got a set of plans that they can look at, and you can, look, well, here's where the hallways run. It's easy to see. You can see where the steel's going up. There's a firewall that stood out there. It was a big mystery for the longest time. They want to know, is this just so we can't see what they're doing on the other side of the wall? But as you can see now, it's just sandwiched between steel. So the only way they could lay blocks is get the wall up, and now they've got it between steel structure. That is firewalls going in. As I told them, like here in this school, when the fire alarm goes off, there's doors that automatically close, contain a fire into one area of the building. So that's what went in. We'll have those doors on that part of the building. We have other firewalls going in throughout. But they're able to see exactly where they are in the building, able to pick out. That's the competition gym that's going in right now. Here to the east of it, if you look, there's an outline of what will be the middle school gym. In between that structure and the steel will be the auditorium and the cafeteria. So there's a space in there. So as you kind of go by, you kind of start to say, oh, okay, I get it. You kind of figure out where things are going. They are right on track. Interesting conversation. How they're going in at the elementary school. They came in, they poured the floors, and then they went in. They attached anchor points for everything that is suspended from those concrete slabs. So your plumbing, your technology, your air handling, all that is done after the fact. You run anchors up into the concrete, then they come back and suspend all of that. This time around, they decided to come in, they GPS in, this is amazing, they GPS in where the anchor bolts are going through from the top. So it's a little more work on the front end, kind of pushed off, pouring some slabs. They were hoping to have some stuff done by now, but it's going to save on the back end. So when it comes time to suspend things, everything's already hanging. All their hangers are already in place. They just run all thread up where they need to. All their hangers for their ductwork is hanging already in place. So that was pretty amazing. They're hoping to, if not this week, maybe the first of next week, they hope to get that second floor poured, or a good portion of that, and then they'll finish off kind of this east end. But everything from about partway over the main office going to the west is going to be poured here very soon, and then they're going to start pouring floor slabs throughout to the rest of the building. And we're talking just briefly as to their critical deadlines, how quickly they plan to have slabs in, get walls in, get things dried in to where they're pushing. So by next winter, they're working indoors in an enclosed environment. So that's coming along nicely. Very pleased with how things are going. Again, they talked a little bit about how some of the workers got driven out. They shared with Todd's group that over at the elementary, mild winters, they worked right on through. You hardly seen them miss a day. Here it got to be a little more critical. Can't lay block, can't pour concrete, but you can set steel. So they were able to set steel and just kind of keep moving at a slower pace. But now they're up, waiting for spring to hit and summer. And again, we hope to see a lot of progress on that structure going up here in the next few months. So.
Now, Phil, would they say that they're on schedule right now, or a little
Anytime
behind?
you ask. Yep, exactly where they want to be. And that's a Peterson, I think that's a tribute to Peterson. That is typically what they will say, but their response to that is, if we're not, we will have the workers here next week to get caught back up. So they are very timely with getting where we want to be.
Good.
Yep.
Well, you can definitely start to see, and especially with that board down there at the intersection, you know, what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
You can kind of envision it now,
Yep.
so.
Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
All right. Now, public participation tonight, guys, we have 3 folks that signed up to speak. We are going to limit everybody to 2 minutes tonight, so with 30 seconds left, I will, you know, I'll give you a little nod just to let you know that we will be at that. So, Teresa?
Good evening, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Teresa Howick. I'm a farmer that way. Been helping my husband farm for 25 plus years. So, on the WCSM headline news, don't know if you guys have seen it, but it says in there, it gave a big long explanation as to your discussion on Thursday night. And one of the things that it said was the decision on the basketball venue is pending further discussion with the athletic director. Could somebody please explain that to me as to why the athletic director has a decision on the basketball venue?
So are you saying when you keeping the venue or?
No, this is what it said in.
And I haven't read it.
Okay, and I do apologize that.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, it's on the WCSM
Okay.
news, headline news. It's dated the same day that the meeting was. So, and this goes, you know, ticks off all the boxes that you guys were talking about. And it's very well done. I was just trying to figure out why the athletic director,
I'll have to read that and get back to you on that.
Brooke looks like she had something.
Do you mind if I
Go ahead.
interject? I think that was taken maybe a little out of context. If I recall, what I shared was that is a conversation between the AD and me, that it's not necessarily a decision that the board makes, it's an internal one.
Oh.
And I think that was the context of the statement.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out
No, I
why
appreciate that, yeah,
why he was
sure.
going to make that decision when I thought maybe it was all of you guys. So, the $1 million question, guys. You got a decision on the field house yet? Huh?
Soon.
Soon?
Yeah. It's gonna have to happen real soon.
Well, yeah, for Garmin and Miller. I gotta tell you guys,
Yeah, 30 seconds.
go ahead.
No, 30 seconds. I was just
Okay.
giving you a heads up.
I gotta tell you guys, two surveys telling you what they want. And what I listened to on Thursday night was 2 of your field house is gone. One, at least she's listening. The other 2 of you guys are kind of on the fence. And I don't mean to sound like I'm being a little blusterous about it, but you guys, I think you know what you're supposed to be doing. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're going to vote her out. And that's terrible. But my 30 seconds is up, and you guys have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Next up is Scott Miller.
All right, good evening. My name is Scott Miller, and myself, along with Tim Homan, have been up here many times at board meetings to discuss the athletic facilities project and how to possibly move forward. After seeing the results of the survey and hearing the board discuss options during the March 13th work session, Tim and I sat down to discuss options, to discuss possible solutions. Even though we may have not always seen eye to eye, during these meetings, we realized that we must work together for our community to make it the best we possibly can. I was able to discuss these items with Matt Vahorn from the Booster Club, and it appears that there is a general consensus among the 3 of us on what projects should be focused on for the athletic facility project. If the Board of Education is willing to use LFI funds for the construction of a new track, we will then turn our focus on the following projects that will fulfill the wishes of our community members while also meeting the needs of our students. And those 4 projects are the renovation and repurposing of the TriStar Automotive Building as a multi-purpose athletic support space, renovation of the current Celina Stadium, renovation of the Celina Fieldhouse, and renovation or new construction of a soccer stadium. We know it will take 7+ years to accomplish all of these goals, and we also know that most, if not all of the funds needed for those 4 above projects will need to be raised by the businesses, organizations, and individuals of Celina. These plans will still allow us to think ahead to possible future needs. The TriStar Automotive Building can still have bathrooms, locker rooms, and concession areas, while the track facility can have underground infrastructure in place if we ever had to move the football stadium there in the future due to an unforeseen circumstance.
30 seconds.
By working together towards a common goal, we are able to leverage the best skills and abilities of our citizens to create facilities that are second to none. We are ready to work together with the Board of Education, Booster Club, coaches, athletic director, and superintendent to make these goals a reality. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay, third up is Tim Homan.
What was the lady who was here talking about the survey? What was her name? First name? Cheryl. Okay. And Cheryl mentioned this was a great survey. Great, like one of the best, most turned out surveys. So I think we should feel good about the results. Like I mentioned, after I saw the survey, I was disappointed that, you know, it just wasn't cut and clear. Like, hey, do you want to keep the field house and play basketball there or not? Like, that's what we needed to hear. And I feel like those questions were omitted. Maybe, yeah, who knows why they were omitted. But so now we have, you know, Brooke's interpretation of what that means to preserve our facilities. I think as a right, you know, the public had to write in, we want to save the field house and the football stadium. You know, for me, that means let's play basketball there. But so Brooke, you and Derek made the decision that we're not going to play basketball in the field house anymore?
He and I have had conversations, yes, that it's time to look forward to the future. When the new facility is built, one that does not have barriers to people attending, and it'll be a space that can be celebrated.
Yeah, okay. 58%, maybe you could argue that they want to still play basketball there. So I don't know. Did the survey even matter, or didn't it matter then? I guess
It did, and if we want to do this, Tim, we can.
No, I want the public to see. Like this is we got a 58% survey that says we want to keep the field house in the stadium, and you know, you and Derek behind closed doors. Julie, board member, didn't know that, and I appreciate you, Julie. Didn't know that we weren't playing basketball there. Did you guys know we weren't playing? I'm not going to bring you guys into it. Sorry, I apologize. I don't think the basketball team knew they weren't playing basketball there anymore. Did they? I mean, I don't know. It just seems kind of not transparent, I would say, to me. Let's see, Mark, you mentioned, you know, the most economical way is to have the track and the football field. You're big on that.
30 seconds.
I haven't heard the survey handwritten in said we don't want a track with a football field inside. Like that literally was in the survey. So all I hear, except I didn't listen to the whole, I listened to most of it, but Julie seems to be the only one. Adam, you did too, John a little bit. But Julie seems to be the only one that's listening to the survey and what the 58% of Celina wants. And the fact that you guys are this just seems crazy to me. It's absolutely bonkers. All right, thanks.
All right. On to the treasurer's report.
Okay, thanks, Adam. Excuse me. Before I get into the actual treasurer's report on the agenda, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First off, the FY24 audit is complete, and actually I just submitted to the Federal Clearinghouse this afternoon. So that is complete. The only thing in the audit, which happens every year, was a finding for not filing GAAP statements, which Celina has not done for years, and the reason basically is because of cost. There's really no advantage to do that. So that's typically, or it is, it's in every audit going way back in time. So other than that, it was a clean audit, and that is finalized. The second thing I wanted to talk about a little bit is, because it's talk out in the community and the media, is about the state budget that's being proposed by the governor and what the impact on Celina schools would be if the proposed budget is passed as it stands, which typically, I've been doing this for many, many years, and it usually doesn't happen that way. But if it does, Celina would stand to lose, in the first year of the biennium budget, $713,906 in the first year, and then the second year of the biennium budget, additional $1,118,604. Now, those are estimates. It's based on different, variables like current enrollment and so forth. So those things can change. So what that means is that would be a reduction of 5.9% in state funding in year one, and then an additional 9.9% reduction in state funding in year two. That's huge. Basically, over the biennium, that's $2.5 million cut in state funding. So our state share would go from, currently this year it's at 41.4%. That would be reduced down to 28.5%. So I wanted to share those numbers with you. So basically, Ohio's Constitution requires that funding for public education is a partnership between the state and local communities. So what that means, as that state share goes down, the assumption is the local has to pick up the rest of the burden to get to 100% of funding. So it's shifted to the local taxpayers. So I just wanted to, again, share that because I know, there's some of the schools out there in the county, throughout the whole state, talking about it, that, we don't agree with this, but when it comes down to it, it has to go through the legislative process, and right now it's in the House. The House is creating their amendment to the proposed budget by the governor, and it'll be probably the middle of June before it's all finalized, but we'll see how it goes. Again, of course, we don't agree with it. It's not, it's not helping with us being able to educate the students and giving them a quality education. So that's all I will say about that. If you have any questions, of course, if you ever have questions, give me a call and I can talk to you about it.
When are they voting on that?
Well, it's right now, the governor, gave the proposal. It's in the House. The House will create their amendment, then it'll make their, basically their version, right? And then it goes to the Senate, and they'll do their.
What time frame though?
It'll be the middle of June right now. It's a timeline that it has to be. It's supposed to be in place by June 30th or July 1. But there's one time I know in my career that I've seen that it's a bit later than that. But it's supposed to be in place by July 1.
Okay.
So, and then on to my report. I'm not going to go through everything. You can see there's approving the minutes from the February 10th meeting, and then the normal reports I give to the board, the cash summary report. I will say on the cash summary report, you'll see the revenues were $11,519,660.02. Basically, that's high, and it's because of the tax, property tax coming in at this time of the year. And then you can see the bank reconciliation report, and the checks written for the month were $5,932,162.74. Excuse me. And then I made some changes to the appropriations, just keeping everything in line for the year. Number 6 is to establish Thursday, June 5th, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the annual TriStar House Auction, which will be held at 1240 Brittany Drive in Celina, and allow for advertising for the auction. Number 7 is to accept the following donations. $1,000 from John Schmink for outstanding student lunch balances. $4,500 from Mercer County Civic Foundation, Celina VFW Post 5713 for outstanding student lunch balances. $5,000 from Mercer County Civic Foundation, Celina Eagles for outstanding lunch balances. $2,644.21 from GoFundMe for outstanding student lunch balances at Celina schools. $750 from Midwest Electric to Celina Elementary School for speech therapy supplies and toys and activities to aid in social and emotional development of children. $1,500 from Mercer County Civic Foundation, Ethel and Laura James Fund for the Glen Helen field trip. $638 from Mercer County Civic Foundation. I'm sorry, I think I said Ethel. Ethan and Laura James Fund for Bruckner field trip. $10,000 from Mercer County Civic Foundation, Ethan and Laura James Fund for the DC field trip. $4,000 from an anonymous donor for the DC field trip. A donation of a 2011 Honda Accord valued at $7,000 from Christine Schwederman to the TriStar Automotive class. Number 8, approve the then and now certificates as follows. River Valley Local School District, $11,913.72. Learning Ally, $5,107.20. And then Celina Municipal Utilities for $30,749.24. And that is all I have. Did you want to talk?
Yeah,
Brooke wants to talk a little bit
Yeah,
about the
just-
donations for the outstanding student lunch balances.
Yeah, just to kind of help put it into context. So we have 313 students who will be helped by these donations. The total debt that had accrued was $13,378, and that's as of today. And with the help of the donation, $13,144.21 will be covered. So it's wonderful for our students. I'm sure it's a blessing for their families. And if there were concerns about the money being channeled to some other avenue, it is not. It is going directly to food services for the purpose of that the donations were intended to be used for. So.
There's a separate fund, it's called Fund 6, Food Services Fund. That money will all go directly in that fund. It cannot be put into the operating fund. So just so that is very clear, that will go directly to pay the balances of these students' lunch accounts.
So, very generous community, for sure.
I think it says a lot about our community of Celina and everybody that was involved with that. John, thank you. Thank you to the Eagles, the VFW, everybody that participated in that. That's amazing.
Great.
Well, can I get a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
So moved.
I'll
A
second. Yep.
All right, we got Mark and Carl. On to the superintendent's report.
You got a vote.
Oh, and a vote, sorry. Mr. Klaus?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Aye.
Mr. Heelsman?
Aye.
Mrs. Summer?
Aye.
And yes. Okay, on to the superintendent's report. Mrs. Gessler?
Thank you. So to start, we have the personnel items, and I would like to request the board to move to approve the presented personnel items in proper certification and paperwork, and that's the attached. If there are any questions.
It was emailed to us.
Oh, yeah.
It's on here.
Oh.
Yeah. I saw it already.
Any questions from anybody?
I'll move to approve.
Can I
I'll
get a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Julie? Mr. Klaus?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Aye.
Mr. Hilsman?
Aye.
Mrs. Summer?
Aye.
Yes.
So the next item, I'd like to request a motion by the board to adopt a salary schedule and benefits package for the following administrative position. Assistant treasurer, 260-day contract, salary range $70,000 to $95,000. Would you like me to expound on that now?
Please.
Okay, so we had a fiscal assistant position that has been posted for months in our treasurer's department that has gone unfilled. And so, given that, we went back to the drawing board and had some conversations about what might we need. Is this truly still where the need is? And part of that conversation recognized that Michelle, in some point here in the semi-near future, I guess, is going to plan to retire. She's fortunate enough to see that on the horizon. So treasurers in the state of Ohio are hard to come by. They are hard to find. And so a lot of districts are looking to try to grow your own approach. And so with that, we wanted to try to bring someone in to look at a possible succession plan who can learn our district, help get systems and processes in place, and have plenty of time to be able to get acclimated in our district in hopes that perhaps when the time comes, be ready to move into that position if provided everything has worked well with that person in that position. And so this is what the ask is of the board for that salary range.
And I would make a point that Celina Schools is a big business. And you need people watching the money, it's too much for one person. We need Michelle needs help.
Well, Celina, I will add, is a little bit, it's more unique than other districts in this county in that we have Mercer County Head Start that we're the fiscal agent of, and also TriStar. It is one of our buildings, I understand that, but TriStar is, Celina is the fiscal agent of TriStar, which there are 9 districts that attend TriStar. So the other schools in the county do not have that
Workload. Yeah.
workload.
Right.
And then also we have, of course, the construction project that's going on that's also in addition to, the normal workload. So I just wanted to add that a little bit too.
Can I add one thing too?
You can.
Michelle won't toot her own horn, but if you drive by, you see her car here often on Sundays. Often. And we appreciate, and Saturdays, we appreciate how hard you've worked and are still working.
Well, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, Julie and Carl. Mr. Klaus?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Aye.
Mr. Hilsman?
Aye.
Mrs. Summer?
Aye.
Okay.
So the next item, I request a motion for the board to approve the Head Start report as received.
I've checked it over and talked with Amy. Everything looked great.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Julie.
Julie, yes.
I'll second it.
Mark? Mr. Klaus?
Aye.
Mr. Huber?
Aye.
Mr. Hilsman?
Aye.
Mrs. Summer?
Aye.
And yes.
And now this is time for open conversation. I think as we alluded to last Thursday, to be able to have some more dialogue with regard to timeline and financials for where the future is headed for the athletic complex. And so this is that time.
I did want to have a little bit of conversation. Did you find out when we did discuss the move to the new high school? Because I do clearly remember having that conversation. I know that decision was made quite a while ago, moving to the new complex at the high school.
I think there were some different conversations at previous board meetings. I don't know that it was ever perhaps clarified, and made explicit.
It probably
but
was
I-
not with the new board, but it was with the previous board, is what I'm saying, but it was.
Oh, well, I can't speak to
That,
that.
yeah,
sorry.
that decision, I didn't know if you had gone
Yeah.
back in the minutes.
No, I have
Okay.
not gone back and looked at records, no.
But I know that was a discussion that did happen during a board meeting and was made in a board meeting.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I could probably go back and look, I didn't know if you had.
No, I have not, no.
Okay. But, Tim, I don't, are you still here? Okay. I just want to ask, I mean, I don't know, why would you want to not play in a new facility that seats over 2,000? Is an homage to the current field house, and.
It's just.
And we're not even saying that we would even get rid of the current building.
Right.
But just to have a new facility, if I was a student, once again, and was a basketball player, I would want to play in the new one.
Yeah.
Personally.
And back to the survey, the young guys and girls voted, which, again, it's open to interpretation.
Sure, yeah.
But like, they voted to keep it, and so, I interpret that as, let's stay there, but it's the atmosphere, it's a huge home field advantage, home court advantage, all, like, all the coaches that I've played for, all the coaches I know in the WBL, the coaches that come here now, and freshman Coldwater coach that I work with, his young kids are like,
Sure.
this is the coolest place ever, and it's the atmosphere.
I know a lot of people that don't go to the games because they can't go and watch them because they have accessibility issues. They can't go up in the stands.
Rick Mosier has, Brett Mosier, his son is in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
He would play, or he would go when I played, and I remember giving him high fives.
Yeah.
And so, I talked to him, because he has a handicapped son, and I
Sure.
said, Rick, what do you think? I don't have a handicapped kid, like, what do you think? And he just flat out told me, he's on the side of, let's keep it and continue to play there. And, that's a guy that went to a lot of games. So, it's the atmosphere, if you've never played there, it's crazy. I played in some big venues in college, and it's the place to play and also watch games. And I feel so strong, the guys that we'd be doing our kids and the community a disservice to get rid of that football field and move basketball. That's why I'm here, and it's what I believe in.
Okay.
With all my heart.
I mean, one of my big thoughts is just because it's going to be brought up to code, the world we live in now is lawsuit happy. I mean, just to bring that facility up to code with new barriers, new seating, new ramps, new restroom facilities, that's not in any of the numbers we ever discussed. We don't even know what that number would be. We're probably talking millions of dollars, 2 to 4 probably, I would guess.
Well, they gave us update locker rooms in the field house, $1 million.
Yeah, but that's not.
And they
ADA
didn't,
ramps, that's not
they didn't.
Barriers.
They didn't give us a
Yeah.
price on ADA compliant.
Yeah. So, that's quite a bit more. But that's stuff that runs through my head when I think about new facilities that we're gonna have compared to what is existing. So, just my thought.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to put out there.
Can I add a little too? So, I honestly have not made a decision whether I think basketball should be played there or not. It's not my decision, I know that. What I do care about is how much everything's gonna cost, because we don't have extra money. We have to be fiscally responsible, and I wanna know that we are prioritizing education over anything else. And so until I know that education's gonna be paid for and everything that we need to do for the school is paid for, I can't make a decision on what would be done with the field house. And I do agree that the cost of making it upgraded to play there could be exorbitant. It's already, everything's exorbitant. Every time they talk, it's $1 million. $1 million is a lot of money. So that's my wait and see.
Well, I took the estimates from Garmin Miller, so these are the numbers that they gave us. And all I did was, on one side of this piece of paper, it says, keep the field house. And so if we did everything that we've talked about, getting a new track, buttoning up the TriStar building, this one says buttoning up the field house, Soccer stays where it's at, gets some upgrades, because we thought we should do something for that. Do the administration building, that's about $500,000 that we have to probably spend on the admin building to turn that in there. And update the current football field. We're at $8.3 million, and that's our best guess today. And that's on this side. On the other side, if you do similar things and get us, but move the football field, play basketball in the new place, and that kind of stuff, we're at $7.2 million. And so, dead reckoning, however you want to say it, it's an extra $1 million to save the field house. Whereas if we don't save the field house, and when we save the field house, we've got old buildings, old things to maintain and going forward. From a sheer numbers perspective, that makes the most economic sense. And then if you look at all the money that we would have available when we get done with this project, my best estimate is about $6.5 million that we would have of LFI funds and other funds that we would have to our access. So the 6.5 to the $7.2 million, or the 6.5 to pay for the $8.3 million. That's just, and the track, we talked about when could we do the track. I talked to Peterson tonight on the way, or this afternoon, and they could start that track in the spring of 2006. So we also have to deal with, can the track survive that long? Because track season is in the spring.
Do you mean 2026?
26, yeah, 2000,
Okay.
yeah, not, I'm sorry, 2026,
Okay.
yeah.
Just-
2026. The reason for that is that track will sit on top of some of the existing parking lot. And so the new parking lot won't be built until the old building comes down and the new building is up. And so it'll be the spring of 2026 when they can actually tear up that parking lot and put that new track in where we had proposed that it goes.
So you would have to get through 2 track seasons.
So we'd have to get through 2 more track seasons before we would have a new track. He said, now there's things we could do with parking and stuff. That's best case scenario, but they might be able to do some other things that we could get it sooner, but we'd have to work through those details. But then all that other stuff, kind of starts to fall after that. And just kind of, so it's 2026, it's the end of 2027 before we'd have all of this done. If, just using the monies that we have available.
But I think it's important that we know what other things, like, I see your list here, but like, do we have to do anything to the bus garage? We don't have any money, we don't have any dollars for that yet. I mean, what has to be done to that? Trying to think about some of the other.
The admin building. Well,
The admin, he has that on
It's on
there. We have a few other LFI things for the high school that we haven't voted on yet, that we will probably vote for, that have to do with different things. One of them is like cafeteria furniture.
Yes.
We need cafeteria furniture. I would vote for that if that's, there's no dollar amount on that yet.
There's cafeteria furniture in there already.
It's
They
in an
want they
LFI
want some
with a
extra
0.
stuff. They want some extra stuff.
Okay.
And there is, right now, in the high school budget, there was $3.5 million for LFI funds, and we spent about $1.5 million of that. So there's still money left there to pay for some of those things. We're just, because we can make those decisions later, we're waiting until see what the expenses are to see if we have the funds.
But I think that's the point of the timeline, is so that we can see what all has to be paid for, how much that's going to add up to, and have a padding to make sure that we finish our schools and we do what we need to do for the schools.
Yeah. And I honestly believe that there's enough funds in that budget already to handle the schools. That's okay. This is the money that's not tight, that is not at risk. And me personally, I'm confident that this money is available to do these other things. Because that $4 million was set aside as LFO funds, stuff that's outside the building. And I don't think we will not, I don't believe we will have to tap into that at all to do anything inside the building.
Is this interest, I know we talked the other day, Michelle, about the amount of interest you get, the total? Is that the total amount that we can get?
That's the current amount.
Okay.
So that will grow.
But what can it go to? Isn't there a cap for how much you can make?
That's on the local and the state I believe. I don't know, Julie, that's, we'll get into that next year. They're going to review that.
Okay.
But Omar, who helps with the financing of, the investments of the construction project, he feels confident that we're okay.
Okay.
I mean, as far as not, because we, of course, like you said, you're saying we can't earn too much interest, right? We have to watch that threshold.
Isn't that based on whatever our bond
On
is
the
at?
original, right?
Yeah, our bond, if our bond was at 3%, they're not gonna allow us to take that money and invest it and make 10%.
Right.
Right.
So there's a maximum amount that you're allowed to make off of that.
Remind me what we are forced to do with the current football stadium if we keep the field house. Are we forced to do anything?
If we just, great question, John, I'm thinking the same thing. If we button up the field house and do that $1.5 million south wall.
Whatever it ends up being, 1.2
Do
to
we have to do
1.7.
anything else? Or can we just play football where we're at and keep the field house as is?
Yeah, you could, yes, you could spend, it's 1.7 to button up the field house. And that doesn't do anything to the restrooms or the locker rooms or anything. That's just closing the wall, putting in heating and air, heating or whatever. And I think we even got an option to take air conditioning out of it.
Yeah, it was about
Yeah, we did.
125,000 if I remember
Yeah.
correctly.
So, yeah, at that point, you're right. And then, so if we didn't do that, yeah, we would spend $6.4 million to do the things we have to do.
Right.
I do think if we keep the football field there, though, there, new bleachers and the press box needs addressed, from what I
If
understand.
we touch the press box though, then we have to put a,
He said we could do minimal,
Minimal.
yeah, okay.
like change of paneling and stuff
But
like that.
Interior,
Yeah,
not structural.
yeah, fix it up a little.
Yep.
But
Said we
yeah,
could do
but
that.
they had given us an estimate to update the current football field, so that meant like new seating on the visitor side and all that, and that was $1.9 million.
Right.
Almost $2 million to
But
fix
if we
the
just
stands.
replace the boards and things to make them safe, because some of them are really warped and
Right.
rotted and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any structural stuff, we'd have to ask them, but
I don't know.
the estimate, the only thing I can go off of, the estimate they gave us was $1.9 million.
Well, they were also showing some repair to the concrete side of the stadium too.
Right.
There's something on the south end that needed some attention, but, I don't want to kick things down the road. I hate to do that, but we don't have money. Money is tight for these sorts of things, and I like what Julie said about finishing this high school so it is bright and shiny and beautiful. Parking lot's done. Get out there where we've got the campus planned and get things seated, infrastructure set up. Got to have practice fields out there too. We need practice fields back because they're going to get tore up when we put the track in. So we got to have some grass and stuff out there to practice on. And that's how I feel.
I guess the biggest thing for me, guys, is 58% of the community says they want to keep these facilities.
But then, yeah.
That's the thing that hits hardest with me, that 58% says this is what we want.
But at the end of the survey, because the survey wasn't black and white, to Tim's point, but at the end of the survey, they say, do what's fiscally responsible. They don't want to spend any more money. So it's, yeah. I want it, but I don't want to pay for it.
Well, but if we just didn't do any upgrades to the field house and just buttoned it up and kept the football field the way it is, do we have to do any updates to the football field right now?
That's what I was asking. Not that I'm
Not
aware
that I'm
of.
aware of, no. You don't have to.
If all we did was just button up that south wall and said, we're going to pump the brakes, we're going to get through the build and see where we're at, do we have to? I guess that's the question that I'm asking.
No, you could do that. And we also have to be cognizant of, and now we've got an 85-year-old building that we have to maintain forever.
Correct.
Or for the foreseeable future.
Correct.
And they're telling us somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, depending on what it needs.
And I'm not disagreeing with you, Mark, on that. I get that. But, you know, it still comes back to, we put that survey out there for a reason, and we need to listen to some of that information.
I don't disagree, but the survey in itself contradicts itself. At the end of the survey, it says be fiscally responsible. And that's a lion's share that people say that too. So, you know, you can be, if you do it totally that way, fiscally responsible, it says tear down the field house. Or if you say from the sentimental and the historical side, save the field house. And that's the choice we're at.
I'm being fiscally responsible by not doing anything extra to the field house and nothing extra to the football field at this point. That's where I feel I'm going to be fiscally responsible, because I can't see putting a lot of money into those until we see what this new school looks like and how people feel about it after that.
But once you save it.
Is it financially smart? I'm not gonna say that it is, no. But the only reason I wanted a survey was because of the money, because a former board, I hate to say this, a former board said we were keeping a field house. And I wanted to honor that, but it's just financially not real smart. So now we're in the middle. Just like you said, Mark, we're in the middle. So we gotta decide what we're gonna do. Excuse my language, but damned if you do and damned if you don't.
So last week's work session, we talked about perhaps having, scheduling another, special meeting where if the board wanted to take action, right? And, you know, make a decision, and you make a decision based on the information that you have, right? So you have survey information, you have costs. That's what you have right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're not gonna get, and we have to make this decision.
Yeah, it's time.
Before the high school's done. Because the high school's, it's 2 years before that high school's done, and we can't wait 2 years.
No, we've been over it now, we've had the survey.
Yeah.
It's time to make a decision.
On the button-up of the field house, that, they ran a couple ideas past us, Carmen Miller did. Did that include an addition, or did they figure out, I think they figured out a way to get
A family restroom?
a family restroom inside
Yeah.
and.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
The old coach's office is the
HVAC
ADA
inside,
restroom.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like in the basement
Yes.
area?
yeah, there'll be an
So everything
80
was contained in that current envelope?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, to make it compliant, they're gonna put an ADA bathroom in where the coaches.
Coach's office
Offices,
there,
yeah.
just
Inside there.
around from the gym floor, on the
So
same
that- so it would
level
be
as the
one.
gym floor.
So that would be the one updated restroom that would be in the building.
They could come in that south door, come around on the gym floor and get to that restroom with a wheelchair.
And tell me if I'm wrong, but can I say that that does not mean it's compliant to play basketball there?
No.
That's not the money to do that. That means it's compliant to stay there, use it as a facility for less people in it. That there's a lot more money that would have to go into it to be able to play basketball there.
That would be actually a good question to ask Garmin Miller. If this was gonna be our primary facility, what has to happen to that building? Because that changes, because when we started talking about the stadium and different things, then the number of bathrooms go up. It's crazy the number of bathrooms that you have to put in
Right.
for a
It's
football
not,
stadium.
it's not fiscally responsible to do that to the field house.
Well, and
But they said if we didn't make any major upgrades, you could button that wall up and it stay status quo essentially.
You have to add the
space
ADA
could be-
bathroom.
The space could be used, because when we met with the code in Miami County, it was, and the option is that you could slowly do some upgrades a little at a time for ADA compliance if you wanted to. But when you start trying to do an all of a sudden like a huge renovation, now we've just opened up the door to have those 30-plus, you know,
Yep.
fixtures
Oh, yeah.
and all of this, and that's, it kind of blows up. But if you were to do things in a little at a time, that is possible for ADA compliance. Same with the stadium.
Yeah.
If you did a little at a time, we would be okay without having to do an overhaul.
Yeah. Well, and one other point is, like, if we were to move to the new campus, move the football field, we're leveraging restroom facilities, we're leveraging locker rooms and everything, and they're getting multi-purpose. So the track can use the same locker rooms, the football can use the same locker rooms. We can leverage the facilities that are inside the new high school, and we get to use facilities for more than one purpose, which makes it more economical.
I honestly believe that'll happen someday, but I'm not sure I'll see it, because I think it's gonna take time.
The part, if the decision is made to save the field house, you know, then you're gonna spend $2 million, then you're in it for the long haul, because you wouldn't want to go back to the public and say, we spent $1.7 million and button that up, and now 3 years later, we're gonna change our mind again.
Oh, I'm not saying 3 years at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying 10, 12.
So is the board to a point where we need to schedule a special meeting where this is
Yeah.
the item on the agenda?
I don't
I'd
think
say-
we,
I'd say
personally,
no.
I don't think we need another meeting.
No.
I think we just need a vote.
Well, so we don't have that on the agenda.
No.
Yeah,
Make a special meeting for us to vote.
yeah. And I would like, is
Put it
this,
on
po-
tonight's
sorry.
agenda?
Please?
Can we not just do it tonight? If we're ready to vote?
Well, I mean, you already set the agenda though at the beginning.
I'm not ready to vote. Not that, but here's my reason why, this is my question.
Julie?
I would like to, and I know we have some prices here, I don't feel like I have all the prices, I want to know like costs that we can foresee. I would like to have a discussion about how much money we feel like we need to keep back to know in case we have these extras with this building. And I'd like to have us prioritize. What do we know we have to do? Like, what is the first thing that we're going to commit to? What's the next thing we're going to commit to? Can we do it little by little like that? Or, I mean, I don't know, I'm open to thinking, but that's what my head feels like we need to do.
I think the biggest thing though is if we have a special meeting and vote, the biggest thing is, are we keeping the field house or are we not? Just a very simple yes or no.
Yeah.
That's to vote on,
And
yeah.
I think that's the elephant in the room, and that's what we need to just say, yay or nay. Because from that point forward, then, you know, we're gonna go one way or another with that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Julie. Sorry.
No, I need,
Well, and these, Julie, and I'm not saying these are your priority, so I'm not saying that, but that's what I did with these 1 through 7. If we keep the field house, these first things 6 things have to be done. And then the 7th thing is updating the current football field. So the first top 6, so that comes to $6.4 million. Those are things we have to do.
no, I see that, Mark,
And-
I
yeah.
get it.
And
I
then the
just, I
second
want to
one's
see
the
the
same
other
way.
things, like, what do we have to do with the bus garage? And what about the other, I kind of added up about $100,000 worth of things that we still have to the high school. Now, that's not, it's a lot of money to me. I get it's not a lot of money out of the budget, but it's a lot of money. I mean, I just want to know that we are covering our bases.
Yeah, and I'd be glad to walk you through that, but this $4 million, there's actually, that money is for all this outside stuff. There's enough money, in my opinion, and I've looked at the numbers 155 ways from Sunday, to cover all the things that we need for the high school this summer. The high school is well covered.
I get that, but then it won't be a $4 million left. Does that make, like,
No, that $4 million will
that's
be left.
what you have left?
That's money that I'm very confident that will be left. There's other money.
There's 2 million uncommitted.
Gotcha, yeah, I knew that.
So there's another 2 million that might show up. So this is the money that will cover all that other stuff that you're concerned about.
Yeah.
But
But I still would like to see it. I would like to see that list, so I know what that list looks like.
Okay.
Is that overreacting, asking too much?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
No, and it's basically the outstanding alternates that we have in high
Yes,
school.
that's what I want to know.
And there's going to be some, oh, gotcha moments probably, but in the high school, there's about about $2 million worth of contingency funds. So if we forgot something, or Garmin Miller made a mistake, or Peterson has an issue, there's still $2 million in that high school budget to cover those kind of things.
And that's not in your funds list here?
That's not in my funds list here.
That's just another.
No, that's money so there's contingency in the construction budget. There's also LFI funds in the construction budget, and so that will cover everything that we need from the high school. I'm very, very confident, but I'd be glad to walk you through that.
I would like to just know what those dollars are. Does that make sense? Can I also just, and I think, so, this is to clarify for the public as much as for me. So we talked at the meeting the other day about, can money go into the general fund? And you cannot put money into the general fund. You can't use building funds in the general fund.
Right.
It's against the law. But it could go into the permanent improvement, but
Right.
if you don't spend state money,
That would be when the project.
is way far, like, spending the money is actually smarter.
So we clarify
Yes.
that.
Spending the money is actually
About
smarter.
LFI, when you actually, we clarify that, when you actually get, when the district would
So-
have access to
We get no access to any of these funds that we're talking about, the
LFI.
the LFI funds, the local funds, if there's any left over, until the project is finished and the state closes the project. Well,
Right.
LFI is our money.
Yes.
Right.
It is our money.
Contingency
The local
funds.
The local funds and the state funds. We get no access to those funds until the state closes a project. And like I've mentioned in the past, I literally, just this year, not 25, 24, closed the TriStar building project. Took the state, so that, we went into that building in 2019, so 5 years later, we closed the project. So, just to give everybody an idea, now the state says they're a little quicker than that now, but I wouldn't hold the government to that. So, just saying, it could take, it could take a few years when the project is over with before we even have access to what is left over.
Right.
We always have access to LFI because that's the board's money, but the local dollars.
And the state will take back their funds.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure that
They
everybody
sell that,
understands
and
that.
I had to send half the money back for like the TriStar program.
Right.
I had to send half the money back, and TriStar is able to use, it was roughly $100,000 that they are able to spend. And it's, in a separate fund, and they're able to spend on capital.
Yeah,
Okay, so
okay.
the LFI, that has to be used for building, or we
No.
can use that for anything?
We can use it.
Okay.
Anything.
So, yeah, and Julie, your question, over here on the far right, you see the HSI, LFI, LFO funds? Okay, so what you're saying is how much is in the high school fund? So in the high school fund, we had set aside $3,578,000 for LFI, LFI things inside the building. So that's paying for the cafetorium, that's paying for the wall, that's paying for the sound system, it's paying for the lights. Of that $3.5 million, we've committed to spending $1.5 million already. So there's $2 million left to pay for cafeteria furniture or whatever else we come up with. So there's $2 million worth of I'd like to have, or we should have type of things in the high school budget. So there's $2 million left there. So that's the number. Now, I don't know what report to show you to do that, because
No, it's fine.
that's the number I think you were asking about. And then what we need to look at is the total list of alternates. So if we did all of the alternates, we would spend that $3.5 million. Because that's what we put it in there for. So that would cover 100% of the alternates with that money that's in there already.
So in the elementary building, we went over what the LFIs were set aside for them, correct? Am I wrong about that?
No,
No?
on the elementary building right now, there's, yeah, my brain's kind of.
But not
falling
over.
separate. No, we're not over.
Okay.
And there's $1.2 million in the elementary school
That'll
that
be coming
will
over this
migrate to
way?
the high school, which will fill up our contingency coffers. And so we did that because if we were to take our money and say, okay, we'll cover that, we made a decision to lower the contingency on the high school because we knew we were very confident we would replenish from the high school, or from the elementary.
Okay.
And had we put that money in there, then it would have been in the fund, the state would have taken all the interest, and we couldn't have got that money until after the fact, until the project closed.
Yeah.
And so we did an accounting maneuvering, if that's the way you call it. That allowed us to keep more money in our money.
I got
and
it.
let us keep the interest.
Okay.
So it's, state school funding is.
I actually kind of understand it.
You might be the first one.
I've worked on it for 2 years, and it still boggles my mind. So I guess the thing to do would be to look at the alternates that are left, but they should come out to about $2 million, and we can get you that list.
So next steps, we're gonna have that list with associated costs for outstanding alternates, and what else might be out there. And then we do need to set a time for a special board meeting.
Yep.
So
How
that the
far in
board,
advance do we have to put that out?
yeah, 24 hours. And I do think it would be helpful, if we could maybe have something similar to like a table, so that at that meeting, something like this can be shared, with community members who come, and then we can, share this, via website too. I think that would be helpful for people to have something to look at. So we can have a.
As long as they know it's estimates.
Yes, yeah, with the disclaimer, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
big disclaimer.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's part of the challenge. We're looking 3 years into the future.
Yes, John.
My question, sir, is, I'm a tax-paying citizen here. I never saw the survey. I never saw the questionnaire. I never saw the monies, how much it's gonna cost over how much revenue you think you're gonna get. By the time you spend this money, and you've already said that the state's going to start taking money back from the federal government, or from the state government.
The state school funding is trending down, meaning that as their funding goes down, either we raise ours or we reduce services we provide.
And that has to do with the operating fund. That has nothing to do with.
Not with the building
project.
fund.
Okay, the building projects then, but how do you get the money for the building projects? Does that come out of our tax money?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was the levy, that was.
So,
There was a special levy for it.
to my way, okay, a levy, something we're gonna vote on?
You
Already did.
back in
Already voted, did it pass?
2021.
Yes. Otherwise, we wouldn't be building.
How many years ago?
2021, I think, was.
2021.
Well, my question is just, if you have the money and it's solidly there,
Yes.
then yeah. If it's something that we're gonna guess about, that would be kinda like, are you getting yourself into something that the school's gonna end up getting screwed on?
Well,
Or better yet, the taxpayer's gonna get screwed on.
so, John, the project, there was so much that was levied that's levied from the community, and that's, and then there's this, which is local dollars, and then the state contributes their portion. The state contributes 49% to the project, local dollars contributes 51%. And then we have this other bucket called LFI. So the LFI is the board's money, but that pays for things that the state will not, I guess is the way I would describe it, will not co-fund.
Correct.
Okay, another
So it's
question
things
would be,
that they say you really don't, the state may say you really don't need that, but if you want it, you can do it, and you can pay for it with LFI dollars.
have we went to the industries around the area to see if they could, sponsor?
Can I? So I think that that's kind of our conversation, is that we don't want to spend more than we have. We don't want to commit to spending more money than we have. That's the real, we have all agreed, no, we do not want to ask for another tax levy. We have to renew things we have. Those have to be done. We want to do whatever we need to do with our athletic facilities, but we want to make sure that we stay in budget. And if there's something that we want to do over that budget, then we have people that are committed to helping to raise funds. But we all need to agree on what we want to do to raise funds.
The reason I ask is because when I went to school and I realized, yes, the dinosaurs were already gone. Marathon Oil had built our stadium for us. The school didn't, that wasn't a taxpayer thing. Marathon Oil came in and built the football stadium.
And John, we are at the early stages of fundraising, so there is a committee for that, so, but.
Okay.
Because the state will not fund an athletic field.
Well, that's what I was wondering,
So, those have to be either, the board has to come up with those funds some other way, or the fundraise, whatever, but the OFCC will not fund
I realize this isn't gonna be a bake sale type thing, but, you know.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, and guys, now circling back here, next steps where we're going to have a special meeting. How much time does people think they need? Next week, or do we want to? I
Will
would
we-
say this week, but I'm leaving this week.
Will we see the-
I'm not
oh,
moving my vacation, sorry.
Can we see the timeline ahead of time too? Like, I mean, the,
The timeline, so what do you call the timeline, Julie?
With all-
Like the building will be done and it'll be closed and?
No.
What's your timeline look like, so we can make sure?
I shouldn't have said timeline. I want to know, like, the things, the
To
costs.
prioritize?
To prioritize of how things are going and what things are costing. Can we see a final, like, I don't feel like this is final for me. Does that make sense? I know what these numbers say, but like I mentioned, like the bus garage, or, we said the LFIs from the high school, to know exactly what those are. I do get that that money's there. I would just like to see what those are, so we have a thorough list. Thorough is not the right word. Must be getting close to 8 o'clock. Comprehensive, thank you.
Well, and
Comprehensive list.
Well, I mean, we're buying the bus garage over time. We don't get occupancy until when?
Next year, I think.
I make the second payment in another year, so the last payment is made in June of '26.
But, and I get that the bus garage is already paid for.
No, I'm
But
just-
what about, what needs to be done to it?
I don't know that we
Right.
know that.
The other,
Well, I guess that's my point. We don't know
Possession
that.
After the last payment.
we don't know what.
Like, if we don't, will we have to put money into it? Like, I just want to have some idea of those kind of things.
Yeah, no, I don't know that, I don't even know that's being addressed at this point. Not yet, to my knowledge.
But it's a wondering you have that you would
Yeah.
like to know.
Because
if
to
it's
me,
an
that's part
estimate-
of providing
an
education for our
estimated
kids.
cost.
I don't know if we'll have an estimate on that quite yet, Julie, until we.
Probably not, but
Yeah.
if we know on paper that that's a possibility for something,
I agree
it
with you.
still leaves us some room to say, we need money held back to make sure that we're paying for the things we need.
I've never been in the building, so I can't.
I haven't either.
I have.
Yeah, I've been in it.
It's a big building, but it's got some wear and tear on it.
Yeah,
But it's very functional, very functional.
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we pay $500,000 for that? Yeah,
It
we
was a
couldn't
bargain.
touch that property and that building for.
That was.
No,
$100 million.
we've
No,
already
I-
voted on that, and I know that, where that came from, I know where the funds came from. I just want to have some idea of the things that we know we're going to have to pay for
Yeah.
in a comprehensive list. Thank you very much.
So so with that, do you want to look ahead to, like March 31st, April, the beginning of April that week?
You're not gonna be here next week, Adam?
I'm actually leaving Thursday, I'll be back, or I'm leaving Wednesday and be back Sunday. So I can be here, I can do next week. I just, if we're gonna try to cram something later this week, I can't do that. I'm leaving this Wednesday, the 19th.
We got Monday or Thursday next week. Or the 31st.
Thursday the 27th?
Perfect.
I'm good.
Yes?
I'm good.
At 6?
6
Yep.
o'clock. Here?
Special? Yes?
Okay.
I cannot do
Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
Good.
I can do Thursday during the day.
I can't do that. Sorry.
Does that jump us to the 31st?
How about Tuesday?
Could we do Tuesday, the 25th?
Yep.
I can.
I can, yep. 6 o'clock?
Tuesday the 25th?
Okay, so March 25th at 6 o'clock.
Okay. All right, we will get that out. Okay.
Mark, did you say there's a chance that they could work around that parking lot to start that track?
Yeah, when I talked to Glenn tonight, or this afternoon, he said that, if, to do it the way you would do it normally, he said, but they could talk about it. We'd be talking about using gravel parking lots potentially for part of the school year and other things, and so we could maybe work through that. We might be able to accelerate it. It would, I guess it's a conversation we have to have with the right people to say, how long will the track survive? Can we make it live for 2 more seasons, or will it not live for 2 more seasons?
We,
And what does that mean?
we were supposed to have the WBL meet there this year, and they put it off. So, obviously, they're saying it's not very good shape. It wasn't good enough to hold the WBL meet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
I
fine.
don't want to expend a bunch of extra money to facilitate building it just for a WBL meet, but if we can make it faster, that would make sense if it's not going to cost us.
Right. And one thing we have to revisit too is about the shape of the track, whether we really want to change that shape or not.
So I got
But
a
that's
few-
down the road.
I got a few calls out to people.
I do too.
And waiting to hear back from them, so. If it's better for distance runners, if it's a paperclip versus a more of an oval, so.
I'm hearing it's not as good, but I don't want to say that absolutely yet. Too elongated.
All right, anything else? A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.